أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I seek refuge in Allah from the accursed shaitan. I seek refuge and assistance in Allah, the One Sublime. We beg in the way in which He has accepted for us to beg and have submitted to Him entirely and completely in the way in which He has decreed, which way He deems to be befitting for His slaves and no other way. We're going to continue on with the Quranic legacy. It is the Quranic career and activism in the United States of America. We did in the prior videos discuss that to have been not something in which yours truly had selected for himself, obviously. For those who have been following along, I do believe this is video number 5 or number 4. I will make comments to correct that. But a few other disclosures when we talk about, again, Africa and going to Africa back in the early 80s for the purpose of memorizing the Quran. We want everyone to remember that Africa then and Africa today has changed a lot. So it is not for anyone to, take the notes and, start giving, bad reviews to any individual. What we're doing is we're clarifying, again, the Quranic path here. We are making distinction between the upbringing of the Quran and the non-upbringing of the Quran. Very important, again, that we don't want for there to be, or this entire series, by the way, to be a means of, again, singling people, individuals, places out and going, on about it. So right away, again, we'll be picking up from where we are in the Casby, which was one of the locations or one of the quarters of the Father himself. AKF, by the way, those who are familiar with Jilimbay, okay, Al-Haji Jilimbay, they will know, looking in the house of Aminta Sura, the villa that she has, Aminta Sura's villa on the right of the palace. If you at the palace, each wife has 2 villas, one on the right and one on the left. So her villa on the right in her main living room, AKF in the picture with Sitting Abdullah Had are together. So there are 3 individuals in the picture that she had there. Rahmatullahi alayha, she has passed. But that is to say that they shared the same generation and they were very close in terms of popularity when it came to this area, Senegal, at the time back in '82. We were housed in his family house, his main family house. In the first few weeks, he placed us actually in one of his special quarters. That went on, and again, we would communicate with him and communicate with others that we had to actually come in touch with. We had to communicate with them in that fashion. We could not speak, but then, we had translator, and then we started Quran school, and the Quran school was right inside of the back of the quarters, or the back. Beyond his quarters, there were other quarters. There was kitchen. Then you actually had the quarters of the workers, compound workers. That included the Quran teacher. His name was Suri. His family lived there as well. So Sheikhuna Abi Sambu and Siri Mudu, who was one of the younger ones, recently not mentioned. And while we're mentioning Abi Sambu, we're also mentioning Ben, who was her mother. And on the mother's side, Tante Abidjan Fall is there. Tante Fatunjai is there. Tante Abidjan was the first wife, chief wife. So with her, I know Lahad is Abdul Ahad is her oldest son. I know that much. But then you have Ahmed Fall, Abdullah Fall, the older, much older than us. I was 11 or 12. They were well into their 20s or so. There were also two of Sheikh Abdul Ahad's children or sons who actually were staying and who he had entrusted. So this entrustment thing is really important. First of all, between Siri Abdul Ahad and Abdul Karim Fall is a very, very tight relationship. I've done some extensive, background analysis on it in the past, and basically they named a child after each other. This is very popular in Senegal. If somebody does this, then from their own self, not through their spouse, but directly one-on-one. That means that, yes, they are very much so in cahoots. So his oldest son, AKF's oldest son, Abdul Karim Fall's oldest son with his chief wife, is named after Siri Abdul Ahad. And one of Siri Abdul Ahad's sons, he named him after Abdul Karim Fall. And he placed him along with another one of his sons, Bas, under the care of Abdul Karim Fall. So when he called him from France and said, come get these, come to me. And then when he managed to get him to come and then say, take these children, take them wherever you go. That wasn't, again, throwing away. And I have to keep saying this because when we first got the Tuba, if it was narrated in a certain way, it would have appeared to be. Now, Abdul Karim Fall did what he was told. He actually, again, had as many as 50 in-house inhabitants whom he really did cater to, provide for, and as the father. Okay, and there are some personality incidents which I personally wrote about in Fortresses of a Business Mind regarding to Abdul Karim Fall, Papa Abdul Karim Fall, that is. However, when we, just reflect on the situation, we have to make sure that, we don't we're trying to give as much color, understanding of the surrounding before we get too far deep in, because then one is likely to get lost. However, the whip of Siri Sambu was of that nature. We hadn't yet started the French school, and for lack of better terms, I just believe it wasn't time yet for us to start the French school. We would be spending the most amount of time, along with those who could not attend, which were maybe one or two other, in the Quranic section there with Siri. The advantage for us was we could wait a while before we went to Quran school, but if you were going to French school, you had to get packed up into the 4x4 to be taken to the camp de gendarmerie camp, which is National Guard camp, and then you would be taken to Tengate, Rufisque. Now, we would stand there and we would make fun of those who were going to French school, and we would act like we were a band, just waving them off and making fun of them. And next thing you know, it was time for at least myself and Rashid, rahmatullahi alayhi, to get going into French school too. Now, he had Mushinjai come over. Mushinjai was a tutor, a private tutor that he had hired. And what he did was he got him to work with both of us. Abdul Karim Fall did this, to work with both of us, teach us how to read and how to write. French. And then he got us papers because you needed birth certificates. So he did get us birth certificates that were, I mean, the money could buy anything. And he got us into the camp de gendarmerie French school. I spent the first 3 years of French school. It's an all French school. There's no Arabic, just French. So that was really, second to Al Madrasa Al Islamiyya. That actually was my very first elementary orientation to elementary school. And again, I'm looking at 12, 13 years old at this time, because at least we had been there for a year. So from that time until I'm about 12, 13, I'll be spending in the camp de gendarmerie for French studies. And then in the afternoon, when we were done with our studies at the camp, we would come back to Quranic class. The Quran class was very, very slow. Again, it was a matter of, the teacher beating us into understanding the language first and commands. Wassalam.